Born December 9th, 1929, John Cassavetes was an American actor, screenwriter, and filmmaker. He appeared in many Hollywood films, including his own. His films are noted for their use of improv in a realistic cinema verite style, a feel that's very similar to the French New Wave style. Born in New York City, but raised in his early years in Greece, Cassavetes' family moved back to Long Island, New York, where he finished high school. Cassavetes graduated from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Afterwards, he took small parts in theater and on television in anthology series. By 1956, Cassavetes had begun teaching method acting in his own workshop in New York City. An improv exercise in his workshop inspired the idea for his writing and directorial debut, Shadow. The money for the film was raised through friends and family. Cassavetes' jazz-scored improv film explores interracial friendships and relationships in the beat era in New York City. Cassavetes wouldn't direct another one of his signature improv films for another 9 years. In the meantime, he acted in movies such as The Killers, The Dirty Dozen, Roman Polanski's Rosemary Baby, and The Fury. Cassavetes' second independent film, Faces, debuted in 1968, starring Jenna Rollins, Cassavetes' real-life wife. Faces was nominated for 3 Academy Awards: Best Original Screenplay for Cassavetes, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Supporting Actress. In 1970, Cassavetes directed and acted in Husbands with actors Peter Falk and Ben Gazzara. They played a trio of married men on a spree in New York and London after a funeral of one of their best friends. This is a very laboring film with long scenes, but really captures these characters as if they were real people. A Woman Under the Influence from 1974. Female, played again by Jenna Rollins. Amazing, just one of the best performances by a leading female. This film not only gave her a nomination, as well as John Cassavetes received one for Best Director.
My name is Carson Cross.
I know.
You know?
I know, Garth. You got a light? A drink?
I don't think we can get to.
Sure, I just got paid. I'm loaded. What's your pleasure?
Seagrams.
Seagrams and what?
7 crowns.
Seagrams and 7 crowns and what?
In the bottle.
Bartender, give me a glass of ice.
There we go, over here.
Right there.
In 1980, Cassavetes and Roland would hook up again for another one of her Oscar-nominated performances with Gloria. One of Cassavetes' later films, Love Streams, is really good as well. It sticks to the vein of what Cassavetes did with his earlier films. Cassavetes has quite a legacy. He's regarded sometimes as the father of independent American film, as well as also fathering Nick Cassavetes, whose film work includes The Notebook. He cast his mother as the woman with Alzheimer's. Aside from presenting difficult characters whose inner desires were not easily understood, Cassavetes paid little attention to the impressionistic cinematography, linear editing, and star-centering scene-making that are fashionable in both Hollywood and art films. Instead, he chose to shoot mostly handheld with general lighting or documentary style to accommodate the spontaneousness of the actors. Cassavetes was never interested in working with actors or actresses who were more concerned with their own personal image than that of the character whom they were portraying, which is why he rarely, if ever, had actors or actresses of note other than his wife in his film. As Cassavetes himself said, he strove to put actors in a position where they may make asses of themselves without feeling like they're revealing things that would eventually be used against them. How Cassavetes used improv in film is frequently misunderstood. With the exception of the original Shadows, his films were completely scripted. Confusion arises in part because Cassavetes allowed actors to bring their own interpretation of the character to the performance. Dialogue and action were scripted, but delivery was not. Cassavetes' unorthodox characters reflected his similarity, unconventional mythology in the making of his films. He employed mostly his friends as actors and on-set personnel, generally for a little or no money guaranteed in a share in the profit, if any, of the film. Both Shadows and Faces, two of his earliest films, were shot over 4-year periods on weekends and whenever funds became available. Cassavetes once said, "The hardest thing for a filmmaker or a person like me is to find people who really want to do something." This on-set methodology differs greatly from the director-run set of a big-budget Hollywood production. The best thing about Cassavetes' film is the actors portraying their craft. It looks so genuine. You just really can't explain what you're watching. You're just watching someone's life.